Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the film Yannick, directed by Dupieux. Now I'm a big fan of the previous Dupieux films I've seen. Deerskin, Rubber, Incredible but True. Yannick is kind of less surreal and absurd than those other films, but it's still engaging and interesting. I absolutely loved the setup of the play within the play. This is something I generally like. I mean, I always think of Cassavetes' opening night. But so this got the film off to a good start for me. The basic story is that we see a little bit of the play. We see maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the play, and then a member of the audience interrupts the actors and starts talking to them. And my first thought was that this was going to be some kind of meta thing, that the audience member was perhaps part of the play. But this actually becomes ruled out relatively early on when he has the conversation with the courtroom attendant. The film does have interesting themes about the hierarchy of theatre, and it made me think quite a lot about Jacques Rancière's emancipated spectator ideas. And another theme was kind of the role of the writer in a play. This was quite interesting, I thought. The idea that the actors are running the show and the question of why isn't the writer there? The writer's actually the boss. It made me think, actually, that in the case of a play, it's interesting how the writer is more important than the director. Whereas this is different in a film where the director's given more prominence than the writer. So it did kind of provoke some interesting thoughts. Another thing that was highlighted in Yannick is the generosity of theatre audience laughter. This is something that I always think when I go to the theatre. Something only has to be half funny for a theatre audience to be quite generous in its laughter. And the play in Yannick isn't funny at all, but the audience are laughing. And so I kind of enjoyed this. This was quite humorous for me. And the audience even starts laughing as Yannick delivers some of his lines, even when they're in a hostage situation. So all very interesting. Another great thing about this film, it's only 70 minutes. I love the ambition of making interesting, weighty films that are short. It's fantastic, and it's a common feature of many of Dupieux's films. So there are a lot of good things about Yannick. However, there were a few negatives for me. Even though it's 70 minutes, it starts to drag a little bit. I loved the premise. However, when he starts to write the play, it drifts somehow. It didn't completely lose me, but I did feel that it became a bit less focused and not always as interesting. My second reservation is I just don't understand why the audience was so compliant. I guess that this is the surreal element, so it's not really a criticism. It is perhaps a comment on theatre audiences and, that point on the generosity of laughter in the theatre. Another weakness was that we had no idea of Yannick's motivation. I would have liked to have known a bit more about this. There was no depth to the characters, including Yannick. So overall, I thought this film started out with great promise, but then it drifted and I really wasn't sure by the time it concluded. I did enjoy it for 70 minutes. I would recommend it, though it's nowhere near as good as the amazing Deerskin and Rubber. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.